Well, I would like to introduce you to the reason that you came out today to Wizard World Chicago. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Patrick Stewart and Daniel Stewart. Hi, guys. Sure. Sit here. I'll sit here. Welcome. How you guys doing?
Good. We're doing great. It's rare that we have the opportunity to be a double act, so you are very privileged to see something unusual.
This is an insane, amazing turnout. Just really quickly, you told a phenomenal story backstage. We were talking about traveling and being tired, and you said, yeah, I kind of fell asleep during a shot shooting Star Trek once. I thought that was an awesome story.
You'd like me to repeat that?
Would you mind? It's pretty sweet.
Okay. Well, you know, there are tougher jobs than filming a television series. But the hours on Next Generation, here's the problem. The people over there can't see me.
All right, hang on, I can fix that.
Can we move your desk back a little bit?
Yes, of course. I brought this desk from home. I thought it would be a cool idea.
And he deliberately put it there there you go.
Expelliarmus! Gone.
Well, the hours were often long, especially towards the end of the week. And there was one night when I might have been the last actor working, and everyone had changed or gone home, and I was shooting a close-up on me having a conversation with some alien on the view screen. And this alien had a long speech to make. And because when we did those shots, there was never anybody there. I mean, all there was a lamp bracket with a black circle with a white cross on it, and that was your eye line. And the lines of the other character were read in for us by our script supervisor, a wonderful man called Cosmo Genovese. And Cosmo Genovese never missed a single day of work in 7 years, which is incredible. He was not a young man either. But Cosmo would read in all those lines of characters who, for whatever reason, couldn't be there. And he always threw himself into the characterization of these parts, which was entertaining for everybody. But this night, he was tired too, I guess, and he was just standing to one side, reading from the script, and I was focused on the black dot, and it was a big, tight close-up like this, and this is somewhere on film in the vaults of Paramount Pictures. But halfway through this alien speech, I went... and, well, they had to shoot the scene again, but...
I don't know why. I think that's quite a good reading, actually. I like that.
Poor Cosmo must have thought, like, I'm a terrible actor.
Yeah. The thing is, once you've spoken to one alien, you've spoken to them all. You know?
What do they expect from you? Yeah.
Exactly. You know, they want to come and invade our planet. They've got to expect you to fall asleep while they're on the screen. But I think you're all going to be here with LeVar Burton at 4 o'clock. Yeah. Okay. No. Don't get too excited. Although, if you want to ask LeVar Burton a question later, you ask him about what I thought about his dance moves last night.
What? Where was this happening?
Boys Town.
Oh, boy.
Don't tell anybody.
It was in a blues club here in Chicago. But there is in one of the episodes. I'm going to shut up in a minute, Dan.
No, you carry on. You're doing great.
Thank you very much. There's nothing like praise from your son, is there? To give you encouragement. LeVar, as some of you may remember, for a period of time wore a visor, as it was called. Well, you couldn't see his eyes. And back in the old days when LeVar used to sit at Ops, I think it was Ops, they had these curvy chairs, and you could sit back, and this is how people sat. So we started a scene, action, and we began the scene, and it came to LeVar's line, and there was silence. Okay, so we started the scene again, very quietly, action. And we played the whole scene, and someone else said LeVar's line for him, and he slept unknowingly all the way through the scene.
You talk about dancing, but you had some pretty sweet dance. How did the Alphabet song video come to be? Have you seen that? Have you seen it online?
You mean,
where you're on the bridge
one.
and you're singing the alphabet? And you're like,
Hey, you're adorable.
yes.
Well, you know, that was a private gift.
The internet is full of those.
Yeah. For Gene Roddenberry, for his birthday. My wife, Dan's mother, is a choreographer, terrific choreographer, and she came in one afternoon during the lunch break, and she choreographed that whole number. Have you seen this thing? Some of you, yeah. And I sang it as a gift for Gene Roddenberry, and we presented him with the tape. Then some idiot went and put piano accompaniment on it in a different key from the key I was singing in.
Oh.
But of course, nobody thinks the pianist is in the wrong key. They think it's me. So if you have it, turn the sound. Well, you can't turn the sound off, then you don't hear me singing. But yeah, well, you know, I had excellent choreography. That's why it worked. And that's why Dan is such a good dancer, because his mother was a choreographer.
Dan, you got to do, you did a Star Trek episode?
I did,
was
yeah.
Was it fun? What was the experience like?
It was terrifying, actually, yeah. As I was only about a year out of drama school and had never actually been on camera before. I like to think that it doesn't show, but I'm not sure. And on top of that, you know, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being on that show. It really is, and it's a huge honor, and you want to be able to be good. But having grown up with all those guys, I mean, not just Brent and LeVar and Jonathan and the gang, but also the crew, because as Dad says, they were there every day for 7 years, and they were a pretty amazing bunch of guys. So you couldn't have had a more supportive environment to do your first TV job. It was incredible.
Because you both obviously have huge theater backgrounds, and didn't you actually leave the Royal Shakespeare Company to go shoot Star Trek?
Not the Royal Shakespeare Company, no. What happened was I had, in fact, after something like 14 years of working steadily with the company, I had left to try to get some TV and film work. And it wasn't going too well. And then I got offered a job at the National Theatre, the Royal National Theatre in London, the only time they've ever offered me a job. I did that job, and I had a break in it, and I went to do some lecturing and teaching in Southern California and stayed with a friend of mine who was an English professor at UCLA, and one night he said, look, do me a favor, I'm giving a public lecture on campus in Royce Hall, and I've asked a friend of mine, an actress, would you two of you come in and illustrate the lecture by reading extracts from the plays I'm talking about? And he said, there's $100 in it for you.
All right. Sweet.
Hey.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Totally sweet.
And I did that, and of course, unknown to me, signed up for the course of public lectures was a man called Robert Justman, who was not only one of the original producers of the original classic Star Trek, but had been brought in to help launch this new version of Star Trek. And he claims, and he's an honest man, I think, that halfway through this evening, he turned to his wife and said, we found the captain. But it took 6 months and 3-4 auditions and meetings. I met Gene Roddenberry the next morning. They called up right away, and I went to see Gene in his little house up in the Hollywood Hills. I remember a lot of orange shag pile carpet. That went in a year or so. Although he was very civil, he said after I had left, absolutely no way. This is not the man I want to have in my new series.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Why? What was his reasoning?
A bald, middle-aged English Shakespearean.
But I think this is what comes across when people see you as Captain Picard, that there's so much parallel between sci-fi fantasy and Shakespeare. I mean, it's like it's this kind of like melodramatic, almost like social allegory. I don't know. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, it made sense to me too.
How did you win him over?
I mean, I didn't. I had nothing to do with it at all. He was, I'm told, gradually worn down by Robert Justman and the casting department, the wonderful
Junie Lowry.
Junie Lowry, whose name you will see everywhere. Great casting director, and cast, I think, every episode of Star Trek.
I think she did.
And when he came on board, because he was not on board at the beginning, the man who became the executive producer for Star Trek, Rick Berman. Mm-hmm. And Rick became a great champion of mine, so he joined with Robert Justman, and I think they just wore Gene down. So he cast me just to shut them up.
Well, as I said to you backstage, I've been friends with Will Wheaton since he was doing Star Trek, and he sends his love to you in a very non-threatening way, and it's all hugs. But Will said at one time that I didn't realize how he told me that you were hilarious, and I've seen that over the years since then. But at the time we were teenagers, I was like, really, Patrick Stewart's hilarious? And he told me the story where you guys were on the bridge and you would say stuff like, Ensign Crusher set a course for Rigel 3, and in Grecian times, a general would take a young boy out on campaign.
No. Now you know what it was like growing up in that house.
Well, there's more to that. I mean, here, Dan can support me in this.
Maybe.
I used not to have much of a sense of humor. I'm a Yorkshireman. We're pretty kind of dour, you know. Not as dour as the Scots, but dour enough. We have a saying in Yorkshire, where I come from, in the West Riding. You probably won't understand it because it's kind of in dialect, but I'll say it slowly. Hear all, see all, say nout, say nothing. Ate all, sup all, pay nout. And if ever that does out for nout, do it for this end. If ever you do something for nothing, do it for yourself. That's the principles that I grew up with, you see. So I didn't have much of a sense of humor, did I, Dan, when you were growing up?
No.